Chapter 2, video campaigns, and I think my favorite campaign type, I have to say. I really do find a lot of value in video campaigns. I run a lot of them for clients, and they are a great way of building brand exposure, trust. It's also a great vehicle for getting your brand message across, your brand story, or even just to tell people what you do, to get your brand in front of someone. As much as I love all other campaign types, there's just something about video, you know? It provides the most opportunity to get the most information in the most engaging way. Video campaigns, for me, is what it's all about. And luckily, that is the current chapter we are on right now. So chapter 2, video campaigns. We're gonna go through how to set up video campaigns, touch a little bit on the strategy behind video campaigns. Then we're gonna look at the campaign breakdowns. So the two different types of video campaigns you can run and their uses and benefits. Then we will move into a live demonstration, and in that live demonstration I will set up both campaign types for you and you'll be able to follow along at home. As I said, I'm only going to touch on the strategy side of things. There's a lot more to go into, and the strategy, as I always say, you got to get that right and you've got to have a clear defined strategy before you set your campaign up. Otherwise you are in essence shooting in the dark. So any questions about strategy, video strategy for any campaign type, let me know. Always happy to have a discussion with someone about it as well. Have a light debate, or we can, or if you just want some of my knowledge or some of my experience, happy to provide that as well. So just let me know. But let's dive into video campaigns. As I just touched on, in order to set ourselves up for success, we must first define the purpose of our campaign by matching our objective to a purchase funnel. So again, we'll be using this funnel for all of the different chapters, but it's crucial to know here that video campaigns can be used for the full funnel. So you can use video campaigns to target awareness audiences, consideration audiences, and conversion audiences. It's really important. What I like to do, or what I tend to do, is I like to bucket that funnel into two separate categories: your brand and your performance. Now, a brand campaign puts your company's story and message in front of an audience with the goal of increasing brand awareness and improving brand share of voice. It's also a way to control your brand's narrative and public image, as well as differentiate your organization from the competition. Let's digest that for a moment. And let's also factor in that if a user knows your brand or a consumer knows your brand, they are aware of who you are, the journey to purchase will also be a smoother one. So if you're a new brand, a new business, just come to market with a new product, no one knows who you are. So you're relying on them to find your product through shopping, search, whichever other format, and you want them to then click through to your website knowing nothing about you, and then immediately go and buy that product. It's a stretch. I mean, it happens, don't get me wrong. People do it all the time, especially those who are low down the funnel, ready to convert. But there's only so many of those people available. Once you exhaust that, you then need to start looking higher up the funnel. So what I always say, especially for small clients or small businesses, is take a bottom-up approach. But remember, your bottom-up approach will not be everything. Like, the bottom of the funnel can only last so long. You can only expand or scale the bottom of the funnel to a certain limit. Then you simply just run out of people who are in market, and you have to wait for that audience to repopulate over time, and then you can hit them again. But if we're using brand or top of the funnel format or campaigns, you are bringing people into your funnel. You are educating them about what it is that you do, why your brand is better than your competitors, who you are, and essentially populating the funnel from the top down. So we talk about bottom up, and that's great. We talk about bottom up from a conversion perspective. That's the way to go, I think, especially for small businesses in the current day and age. You need to justify your ad spend before you can go in and start just spending it. And brand campaigns, you have to be comfortable with spending money knowing that your goal here is to reach a certain amount of people at a certain frequency. Don't go into a brand campaign saying, oh, I didn't drive enough sales. Because that's not what brand campaigns are here for. It's not the audience. We're not targeting that audience either. So just bear that in mind. And you can see here, when we attach the funnel to the brand, it links to awareness and consideration, right? So you can run a brand-led campaign to an in-market audience. That's completely fine. Because remember, we touched on it in the search chapter, not all of your in-market audience is ready to buy right now. Sometimes they need warming up. So a consideration level brand campaign is a great way to warm up that audience. For a new brand or a brand with a smaller share of market or a smaller share of voice, that's exactly what they'll want to be doing. It's exactly what brands want to be doing. And you'll notice this is strategy that you will come across with large brands. Like things like, you look at the likes of Coca-Cola and any big brand like that, these will be what they will be looking at. These will be the sort of metrics that they'll be focusing on. It will be share of voice focused and things like that. So there's a place for brand for everyone, definitely. So don't ignore it, is my advice. You can also run performance objectives with YouTube. Performance campaigns are results-based with the primary objective to drive clicks, website traffic, or specific conversions on-site or in-store. Performance activity is most effective when targeting lower funnel audiences, including in-market or retargeting. So here again, you don't want to be targeting your top of the funnel audiences if you are looking to drive performance, because A, they probably don't know who you are. B, they might not even be in market for the particular product or service that you have to offer. And therefore you might have to wait 3, 6 months, a year or longer for them to come into market. And by then they've probably forgotten about you anyway. So what's the point? Stick to those in market, high intent audiences. You either use the Google in-market audiences or you've got the use those custom intent audiences that we discussed in level 1. If you haven't watched level 1, again, and you're interested in YouTube and the audiences, go back and watch that audiences chapter in level 1. We do a real deep dive into each one of those audiences and how to use them. So again, at performance, your in-markets or your custom intent audiences, those are the audiences you can build as a proxy in market if you can't find your exact niche in the off-the-shelf Google audiences, or even your keyword audiences. It's always worth testing those as well. YouTube's got pretty good scale. If they can't scale your keyword list, then not meant to be, but that's fine. Test it and learn from it. So remember, warmer audiences, those who've been exposed to your brand, are more likely to convert than cold audiences. Ties nicely into the brand pillar there, I guess, as well. And you'll notice again, the performance tab links directly to consideration. So when we talk about a performance and consideration audience, again, we're looking at in-market audiences here. So this would be what we would call a prospecting campaign. And then they also links directly to your conversion, your lower funnel users. That's people who know who you are. This will primarily be your retargeting audiences and the different variations of retargeting audiences available. Bear that in mind when thinking about YouTube campaigns. There are options. You can drive efficient performance through YouTube campaigns as well, but they behave in different ways to a brand campaign. So just keep that front of mind. What we're going to do next is we're going to move on to the 2 different campaign types available for YouTube campaigns. The first one is a YouTube, I believe what they call YouTube for reach. And that does what it says. It's about reach. And this is the campaign type I would associate with running brand campaigns. If you decide brand is not for you and you want to look at running performance campaigns, then you will want to be using YouTube for action. And that is specifically for driving performance-focused results, website traffic, sales, whatever it is that you define to be your conversion or your result. YouTube for reach. You can choose to reach more unique users or reach users with your entire message. It's up to you. This means that you can look to expand the number of people you want to target as your primary objective. So I want to hit as many people in this audience as possible, or I want to get as many people as possible in this audience to watch my entire video. So the difference there is, if you go for the reach, it's done on an impressions basis. So they don't necessarily have to watch the whole video. They could skip the video after 6 seconds, and that still counts as reach. Whereas the viewed base one, the viewed base campaign, means you're only paying per view. So you only pay when someone watches your whole message. I think both have their practical applications. For me, I lean towards the view, and I like to use slightly longer form video copy there to run those campaigns. But it's entirely up to you. So some of the benefits of the reach campaign. So they drive reach goals. Video reach campaigns are optimized for your reach goals. So you can choose to reach more unique users using bumper ads, skippable in-stream, or both. And I'll just want to point out here that bumper ads are short 6-second non-skippable video formats. So for that, you want to have a short, concise message, which is you can buy that on a CPM basis, which means you get your brand, you spread it far and wide, but you only have 6 seconds to get your message across. Or you can use skippable in-stream, which is minimum 15 seconds. I think up to like 2 minutes or something. The sweet spot is 30 seconds, and you'll build on a 30-second basis. But if you're running a reach goal, you'll be built on a CPM. Or reach users with your entire message using non-skip or in-stream. So again, that is non-skippable inventory, so longer form again, or your in-stream, which is again skippable after 6 seconds, but you only pay on the completed view. So a few nuances, a little bit complicated. If I've confused you with that, let me know. Maybe I can re-record this, or I can clarify to you in person as well. Flexibility to choose how you meet your goals. So to maximize unique reach, you can use multiple ad formats together to achieve the most efficient results. Or you can choose individual formats to focus on different variations of your message. Get better results. Video reach campaigns with a mix of ad formats use a variety of signals to optimize in real time, driving better, more cost-efficient results for your brand. The last thing here is the inventory available. When I say inventory available, I mean, where did the ad show? And with video campaigns and video reach campaigns, you will be on 2 types of inventory. YouTube and the YouTube channel and the whole YouTube ecosystem, or Google Video Partners. Now, for reach campaigns, during the campaign setup, you can decide whether you want to be on YouTube alone, or on Video Partners alone, or on a combination of the two. For me, I always go with just YouTube, because I am unsure about the quality of the contextual environment on the Google Video Partners. Now, that's not to say it's bad. It's a good list of partners, of websites and third-party sites and things like that. But I want to have that control. I want to know where my ads are being served. And a good, strong, quality contextual environment like the YouTube platform is, in my eyes and in my opinion, where I want to be showing my ads. I'm not so sure about the Video Partners. If I'm struggling for scale, maybe I will turn on the Video Partners, but to this day, that's never happened. So for me, I always stick with just YouTube. Feel free, please go and test out the different inventory options if you want, and let me know if you have any success. Just bear in mind, some of the things you can't measure are the contextual quality of those video partners. So you may not get a feel for the quality of where those videos are being served. You can go in to see where my ad is viewed, and you can find all the websites, and you can go through and you can click on them and see what they look like. I think you'll be shocked at how crap some of them are, but you can always go and exclude those later down the line. It's up to you. And with video reach campaigns, you have 3 variations of creative at your disposal: skippable, bumper, and non-skippable. I know I kind of touched on these already, but like I said, the skippable and non-skip are longer form content. So I think a minimum of 15 seconds, build at 30 seconds, but can be up to, I think, 2 minutes. It may be longer now, I'm not sure. But non-skip, there are different criteria because obviously you're paying per completed view. I think it's a maximum of 30 seconds and a minimum of 15 seconds. In terms of the video specs that we've got so far, obviously you'll choose your video type. So remember, this is for reach campaigns still. You'll choose your video type. You will then have the option of adding a headline, maximum 15 characters, including a call to action. This is optional, but I would highly recommend it. You can see the numbers on the left correlate to the numbers on the right in the ad. So number 1, you can see where the headline sits. Number 2, you've got your display URL, maximum 255 characters. Again, that's displayed just under there. Thirdly, your call to action, again, optional, maximum 10 characters. There's no harm in adding it, in my opinion. Add a call to action. People do click through, even on reach campaigns. Yes, you'll have a $10 or $20 cost per land, but people will click through. And those people are also likely to be highly engaged, so they are valuable. So give them a clear, concise way of navigating to your site, especially if you've got something to offer them. And then you've got a couple other creative options. And again, these two are optional as well. But for me, there is no harm in adding these. If you're running a reach campaign, it's brand focused, the audience is broad, they might see something they like in the form of a product feed or a site link extension. So if you have it, get them included. Especially if you've got your merchant center linked, you may as well include product feed. Google will constantly give you notifications and recommendations to add your feed anyway, so you may as well do it. One thing to note though is if you do add your feed and it's not linked properly, it can cause problems, and then you're going to get spammed by Google again saying your product feed is not syncing your products correctly, sort it out. So just make sure everything's running functionally before you go ahead and do that. For skippable in-stream, use videos that are 30 seconds or less for optimal results. People tend to drop off after that. If you want people to see your entire message and get a particular brand message across, remember you're being billed at every 30 seconds of watch if you're using the entire message option or goal. So try to keep it within that 30 seconds, the message. That way you know those people are watching that entire message. Now, moving into video action campaigns. Video action campaigns are a simple and cost-effective way to drive more conversions, all in a single automated campaign. There is the debate, why would I use a YouTube for action campaign when I could use something like Discovery? And that's a valid point, that's fair, as the YouTube for action campaigns do tend to behave a little bit more like display campaigns, but there is obviously still the video element included, and people will get the opportunity to watch your video, so that is still the option there. But as you'll notice, the inventory is slightly different as well. So it's specifically YouTube home feed, YouTube watch page. It's obviously the same as your reach, where you had where your video will be shown and they'll have the opportunity to skip. But also, again, same as reach will be your Google Video Partners. So that's the slight difference there. And the home feed acts a little bit more in a display format as well. And you can see as well in some of these formats, the call to action is much more prominent and much more in focus and much more the center of attention here, because the goal of this campaign is not to get someone to watch your entire video, is not to get the brand message. It is to click through to your website and convert, buy a product, submit a lead form, whichever it may be. The action campaign benefits: drive more conversions, expand campaigns to run on more places on and off YouTube and drive more conversions while still optimizing for lowest CPA. Improve campaign performance. By combining inventory from YouTube home feed, YouTube watch pages, Google Video Partners, and more, video action campaigns can help you drive improved performance for your campaigns by reaching new customers. And lastly, scale your campaigns easily. Video action campaigns make it easy to run your ads on mobile, desktop, and TV in one campaign without having to set bids and budgets for each inventory source. Now, as with the reach campaign, I like to exclude Google Video Partners. However, you do not have the opportunity to do this anymore as of summer 2022, I believe. You can, however, and which is what I still do, add an exclusion to placements, which is essentially a workaround. If you want to know how to do that, and if you want to stay just on the YouTube platform, drop me a message. I will guide you to either a video or a link as to how to do that, and a step-by-step guide on how to do that. One thing I will say though is that Google Video Partners give more scale to the inventory and to the audience. So sometimes you may see your cost per actions actually increase by excluding that. But over time, it is possible to bring those CPAs back down with just YouTube activity. But again, this is always on a case-by-case basis. So it's something that you will have to test and try. The reason I do it is because I like the control over the inventory and the quality of that inventory. If you're less concerned about that, then there's great scale and even more efficiencies to be had on Google Video Partners. Video action campaigns use the skippable in-stream and in-feed video ads format. And in terms of the specifications for those, you can see they're a little bit different to the YouTube for Reach campaign. And there's a bit more information to include here, a bit heavier on the text, I would say, because you want more of those call to actions. You want more of those prompts to push people to move to your website rather than continuing on the YouTube platform or to continue watching the video. So that is another key thing to remember. You are, for some of these formats, looking to sort of interrupt people mid-journey. So remember, action campaigns, they serve across multiple placements. So remember, your YouTube home feed, YouTube watch page. So you're going to disturb people when they are actually looking to watch videos. So it might be harder to get those people to actually commit if they're midway through sort of watching a video. You've also got YouTube Watch Next, YouTube search results, and the video partners. So some of those placements are going to be geared more towards driving the traffic and conversions than others. And that's just the way it goes, but it's a good mix anyway, nonetheless. But because you have that mix of placements, you're going to require a little bit more in the setup in terms of specification. So in this one, number one is the call to action. And you notice that none of these are optional. These are all mandatory. You have to have these included. So first and foremost, call to action, maximum 10 characters. You can see where that sits in the in-stream and in the in-feed video. And it is very prominent, and it's clearly telling someone or the audience or the user to take an action. Secondly, you go your headline. That's a maximum 15 characters. And this is used in the skippable in-stream ad format. Thirdly, you've got your, as you can see here in the in-feed ad video, number 3 here, your long headline. That's a maximum of 90 characters and used in the video discovery format. Up next, you've got a description. It's a maximum of 70 characters. Again, in the in-feed, you can see it underneath, sits just above the headline. And lastly, you've got the fifth. This optional for the in-stream is a creative options. Used in the skippable in-stream ad format, you can use site links, lead forms, and product feeds. So if you are lead gen focused, try the lead forms. See how they perform. Obviously, you're going to have your on-site lead form as well. But especially with the in-stream, like I said, people are mid-watching a video or they're about to start watching a video. To be able to move them away from watching the video onto your website, then to complete a lead form, submit all their details, then navigate back to the YouTube platform, it's a pain. It's difficult. It's a convoluted user journey. So to have that lead form there means, hey, the ad's still running. I can submit my details. Boom. I don't even have to leave the YouTube platform. So submitted my details and now I can watch my video. Sweet. Done. Obviously, your lead form on your site is going to be more valuable with your in-feed video ads. So that would be the more display-like formats where people are directly clicking through to your site. So you need both anyway. So don't just go with one. But if you are in the lead gen, highly recommend that. It really helps with the in-stream conversions. Like I say, and I will continue to say in every chapter, so I'm sorry if you get annoyed with it, but we want to pre-plan everything. So we want to have our specs down, right? So we've got our strategy. We know we're running a YouTube for action campaign. a video for action campaign. So now we want to go ahead and build our creatives, get our video. We want to build a specific creative for this campaign as well. I don't want to just use any old video that I've got. I want a specific creative which is going to push for action, right? To drive people to convert. Tell them why they should be converting, what they should be doing, how to convert, and what are the problems that your product, service, or brand can solve. A lot more best practice creative examples to come in future. Obviously, it's always changing, so keep an eye on it, and you can find a lot of reuseful information just by searching things or watching other creators, or even just asking myself. Next up, we want to talk about account structure. With all things, account structure is essential because we need to set ourselves up for success. And how this differs from the search campaigns, which you notice had a lot more focus on kind of the ad groups and splitting out the ad groups. With YouTube campaigns, we've got not only brand represented with the awareness, but we've also got the action campaigns here represented with the consideration and conversion groups. In order to set ourselves up for success, we've got to get the right campaign structures. And when it comes to video, it's going to be a lot about the creative, the audience, and our landing page. We need to structure our accounts to be able to measure the effectiveness of each of those parts. So how I take this is I have a separate campaign for each part of the funnel. So in the example we've got here, we've got a fashion interest audience. As this is my awareness part of the funnel. And I know I've got a clothing brand and I want to get a relevant audience to know who my brand is. So a relevant audience that may want to buy from my business in the future, let's say. And this is a very quick examples, by the way. Don't hold me to this. It's not necessarily what you should be doing, but this is an idea of how you would structure it. So I know I want to set up my campaign with people who are interested in fashion because I want to introduce people who are interested in fashion to my brand. So I'm going to go with a fashion interest campaign and I'm going to set my audience at the ad group level. And that audience I want to set is I'm going to use Google Affinity Audience interest in fashion. So I know this large bucketed audience, all of them are interested in fashion. Now you can narrow this down more if you just want men or women. You can overlay demographics with it as well if you want to. It's entirely up to you. But for this example, I'm just going to have my affinity audience with my fashion. Next, I'm going to actually input that fashion audience, so that affinity audience, into that ad group. So I've named my ad group Affinity Fashion, name it whatever you want. All I'll say is make it clear what your campaign's for and what your ad group's for so you don't get confused. Because if you start running lots of different campaigns, lots of different ad groups, it does get confusing, trust me. To get the audience in there that I'm looking for, and now I want to have a creative associated with that audience. So I want a related video introducing the brand and appropriate landing page and conversion journey from there on out. Like I say, this is a reach campaign. You're not going to get a huge amount of clicks, but you will get some. So make sure they're being directed to the relevant page. But what we want to focus on here is how I've structured this. For me, I like to have one campaign, one ad group, one audience, several creative messages. That's how I structure it. And there's a reason I structure it that way. Because if I put multiple audiences under one ad group, or even if I have multiple ad groups with multiple audiences, each with one audience, spend skews to whichever one has the most scale. And there's no way of controlling. It's very hard to control an even spread across each ad group, which means one ad group, that messaging and audience won't get fairly tested. And as the campaign ramps up, it will just stop spending usually across that audience altogether. Now, there are exceptions to this. Sometimes you can get even spending if the audiences are quite closely aligned. But for me, when I want to have exact control over everything in my campaign, this is the best way of doing it in my experience. Not only that, but I can also see how each creative format resonates with each audience. So you might see, hey, look, video 1 actually resonated really well with the affinity for fashion, but video 2 in the separate campaign did really well and resonated really well with the affinity for clothing, let's say, or designer fashion, let's say. So now you're starting to build a bit of a picture about each of those audiences because you've got that control in place. One campaign, one ad group, one audience. If you do want to add a second audience to your specific campaign, please have a separate ad group for that audience and separate copy created as well. When we move into the next two, the consideration and conversion, these are action campaigns. And here I've got one targeting an in-market audience campaign. And within that, I'm going to follow the same exact account structure, ad group. I want one ad group, one audience. I want my in-market for clothes. And I want the appropriate conversion-focused video and landing page and basically conversion journey associated with that. So I want it going towards clothing related, or within Google, you can even bring this down further, in-market for hats, in-market for wallets, whichever it is that you want. You can narrow it down further and specialize and customize the video accordingly. Again, I specify have multiple creatives because you don't know which one's going to perform best, and it's going to go out to a lot of people, and it will optimize towards the best performing creative over time anyway. It also gives you a little bit of insight into who your audience is. If you wanted to, if you have a separate ad group here in your in-market audience, one for wallets, one for hats, maybe it could work. Just be mindful of the spending issues that I outlined before. Whatever you do, don't have in-market clothes and then bunch loads of audiences in that one ad group, because it makes it really difficult to understand which audience is performing well. And again, you're going to have the same issues with audience spend just scaling towards the audience which is largest basically. So for me, keep it all separate. And one thing you must keep separate is your retargeting audience. If you're doing any type of retargeting, you again want that in a separate campaign. This is your low-hanging fruit, right? These are the people who are already aware of your brand, your products, and the services that you have to offer. So you're going to want to have that as a separate campaign. You're going to want to control the spend carefully across this line as well. And you're going to want to, in my opinion, you're going to want to maximize spend across these lines at all time, because these people have been to your site, but they haven't converted. It either means they're unsure about your product or service, and this gives you the chance to sell it to them again, or it means they're still thinking and they're comparing to other competitors. So again, you want to maintain top of mind. So you want to maximize your spend across these lines. Therefore, you want to have this in a separate campaign, again, with different video creative, ideally. If you're stretched for resources and for creating new videos, okay, you can have one video the same as your in-market, but I highly recommend get some custom creative for your retargeting audiences, especially if it's video for action, to have it more conversion focused, more call to actions, be more direct with the content. Tell them what you can do for them and why you are the best choice. Again here, landing page, super important. That's where the conversion is going to happen. You're going to need to have that optimized. A benchmark for you, on average, landing pages convert at roughly 2%. Do with that information what you will. If your landing page you think is converting at less than that, you may want to do something about it. So you want to look at your land to your conversion rate and work it backwards from there. And then you want to understand what it is in your landing page which is pushing people away, or is it because I'm hitting a cold audience? They don't know who I am yet. If that's the case, then maybe you should shift to another campaign type. Maybe you need to have more brand. Maybe you need to redefine your audience. It can be a lot of different things. Again, that's all on a case-by-case basis. So you'll have to figure those things out yourself. And if you can't, let me know. I can try and help you as well. That is what I'm here for. That's it in terms of campaign structure. Best practice, in my opinion, one campaign, one ad group, one audience, and multiple creative variations. And then you can always turn off the campaigns that are not running. So let's say you're running one in-market for audience, you're running 3 different in-market audiences and 3 different campaigns. If you run for a couple of weeks, you notice one is way outperforming the others, you can pause the other 3 and you can start to ramp up the spend in the other one. That's how I like to go about it. And that's how I think you'll be set up to be able to understand what is performing and what's not performing. And you'll be able to pause and make the appropriate optimizations where needed. Next up is the live demonstration. As I said, I will set up both a reach campaign and a video for action campaign. So I will see you in the next video and we'll be cracking on with the live demo. See you then.